I was on the leg press machine when I heard it. His voice. Loud enough for everyone to hear. Maybe if you spent less time on your phone and more time actually working out, you wouldn't look like that. The entire gym went silent. I felt every eye turn toward me. My face burned. I was 24 years old, struggling with my weight after a car accident left me unable to walk properly for 8 months. I'd gained 60 pounds during recovery. This gym was supposed to be my fresh start. Jake was the head trainer. Tall, muscular, with that cocky smile that made him think he owned the place. He stood there with his arms crossed, surrounded by his little group of perfect-bodied clients who giggled at his comment. I'm between sets, I managed to whisper. Sure you are, sweetheart. Between sets and between donuts, right? More laughter. I grabbed my water bottle with shaking hands and walked toward the locker room. My leg still hurt. My limp was visible. And now, my dignity was shattered on the gym floor for everyone to see. I didn't cry until I reached my car. But as I sat there wiping tears with my gym towel, something inside me changed. It wasn't sadness anymore. It was rage. I pulled out my phone and texted my physical therapist. I need a real program. I need to prove something, she replied immediately. Come see me tomorrow. Let's build you back up. I stared at the gym entrance through my windshield. Jake was visible through the glass windows, laughing with his clients, probably still joking about me. He had no idea what he'd just started. The next morning, I met Dr. Sarah Chen at her rehabilitation clinic. She'd been my physical therapist throughout my recovery, but I'd stopped coming once I could walk without crutches. Tell me what happened, she said, closing the door to her office. I told her everything. The humiliation. The laughter. Jake's words that kept playing in my head like a broken record. Sarah's face hardened. That's not just unprofessional. That's cruel. And it's exactly why people are afraid to start their fitness journey. She pulled out a folder. Emma, I've been waiting for you to come back. Your recovery was remarkable, but we stopped too soon. Your leg is healed, but your body isn't balanced yet. That's why you're struggling. For the next 2 hours, she assessed everything. My movement patterns, my muscle imbalances, my nutrition, my sleep, my stress levels. This isn't about losing weight, Sarah explained. This is about rebuilding you correctly. The weight will come off as a side effect of becoming strong again. She created a program unlike anything I'd seen. It was scientific, personalized, based on my specific injuries and limitations. How long will this take? I asked. 6 months of consistent work. Maybe less if you're dedicated. But here's the rule. You don't go back to that gym. You train here with me or at home. You don't need their judgment while you're healing. I shook my head. No, I want to go back there. I want to train where he can see me. Sarah studied my face. Then she smiled. All right, but you follow my program exactly. Deal? Deal. I didn't tell her about my real plan. I wasn't just going back to train. I was going back to make Jake regret every word he'd said. I returned to the gym 3 days later. My new program was loaded on my phone. Sarah had given me specific exercises that would work around my limitations while building real strength. Jake noticed me immediately. He was with a client near the squat racks, but his eyes followed me as I walked to the corner where the dumbbells were. I started my warm-up. 5 minutes of modified mobility work that Sarah had prescribed. It looked simple, but it was activating muscles I'd forgotten existed. Well, she's back, Jake's voice carried across the gym. Thought we scared you off. I didn't respond. I moved to my first exercise. Romanian deadlifts with light weight, focusing on form exactly as Sarah had demonstrated. Jake walked over, leaving his client mid-set. You know, if you want actual results, I offer personal training. Though it's pretty expensive. Not sure it's in your budget. His eyes traveled over my body in a way that made my skin crawl. This wasn't about fitness. This was about power. I have a program, thank you, I said quietly, not making eye contact. Yeah? Who gave it to you? Some YouTube video. He laughed. Let me guess. You're doing that whole body positive thing where you pretend being overweight is healthy? I felt that familiar burning in my chest. But I remembered Sarah's words. Don't react, Just work. Let your results speak. I'm following a rehabilitation program from my physical therapist, I said calmly. Physical therapist? What are you, injured? His tone was mocking. This isn't a hospital, princess. This is a gym. People come here to actually work. I finished my set. Moved to the next exercise. Ignored him completely. But as I walked away, I heard him tell another trainer, some people just aren't cut out for this. She'll quit in a week. That night, I pinned his words to my bathroom mirror. She'll quit in a week. Let the countdown begin. Week 3. I'd been consistent. Every day following Sarah's program exactly. I was getting stronger. My leg hurt less. My body was beginning to respond. But Jake's harassment escalated. He started filming. Not obviously, but I noticed. He'd position himself near me with his phone out, recording his own workouts, but angling the camera to catch me in the background. Then the comments started appearing on the gym's social media. Posts about gym fails and New Year's resolution people who don't belong. The faces were blurred, but I recognized my clothes, my exercises, my body. Other trainers noticed. Some looked uncomfortable but said nothing. The culture Jake had created was toxic, and he was the golden boy. The gym owner's nephew. Untouchable. One morning, I was doing step-ups on a platform. My leg was shaking. The exercise was hard, but Sarah had insisted it was crucial for rebuilding my strength. Jake decided to host an impromptu training session right next to me. Loud, performative. See, this is what real effort looks like, he shouted to his client. You push through the pain. You don't baby yourself with modifications and rehabilitation. His client, a young guy, maybe 19, glanced at me apologetically. But Jake continued. Some people come to the gym to change. Others come to make excuses. Winners push harder. Losers blame their circumstances. The entire gym could hear. People on treadmills. People at the front desk. Everyone. I stepped down from the platform. My leg was trembling, but not from weakness, from fury. Excuse me, I said quietly, trying to move past him to get water. He stepped into my path. What's wrong? Can't handle the truth? Maybe this isn't the place for you. Have you considered, I don't know, walking? Just walking? Might be more your speed. His client looked away. Someone in the background whispered, Dude, that's harsh. But no one defended me. No one said stop. They just watched like I was entertainment. I grabbed my water bottle and walked to the bathroom. Locked myself in a stall. And for the first time since starting this journey, I considered quitting. Then my phone buzzed. Sarah, how's today going? I wiped my eyes and typed back. He's getting worse. Her response was immediate. Good. That means he's noticing. Keep going. Trust the process. I stared at my reflection in the bathroom mirror, sweat-soaked, red-faced, still overweight, still limping, but stronger than 3 weeks ago. I went back out and finished my workout. Month 2, something shifted. I stopped going during peak hours. I started arriving at 5 in the morning when the gym was nearly empty. Just me, a few serious lifters who never bothered anyone, and the hum of treadmills. No Jake, no audience, just work. Sarah's program was showing results. I'd lost 20 pounds, but more importantly, I could move. Really move. My leg no longer dictated my life. I could do exercises I couldn't attempt a month ago. But the isolation was suffocating. I had no friends at this gym. No support system. I was the girl Jake had humiliated, and that reputation stuck. Even kind people kept their distance, probably afraid of becoming targets themselves. One morning, I was resting between sets, sitting on a bench when an older man approached. He was maybe 60, lean and strong in that way that comes from decades of consistent training. You're here every morning now, he said. His voice was kind. Not pitying, just observational. Yeah, I replied, unsure where this was going. I saw what happened, week 1. With that trainer. He shook his head. I've been coming here for 30 years. Seen a lot of trainers come and go. That kid, he's everything wrong with this industry? I didn't know what to say. This was the first person who'd acknowledged it. You're doing real work, he continued. I can tell. Your form has improved dramatically. Whatever program you're following, it's working. Don't let some insecure boy with a certification steal this from you. My throat tightened. Thank you, I needed to hear that. He extended his hand. I'm Richard, former Olympic weightlifting coach. Retired now. But I still know quality training when I see it. We shook hands. I'm Emma. Emma, keep showing up. That's the only revenge that matters in fitness. Consistency beats talent. Discipline beats motivation. And character beats cruelty. He walked back to his workout, and I sat there processing his words. For the first time in 2 months, I didn't feel completely alone. But I also realized something else. I was training in the shadows, hiding. And that meant Jake had won something from me, my confidence to exist in that space during normal hours. That needed to change. Month 3. I switched back to evening workouts. Prime time. When Jake ruled the gym floor like a king. But I wasn't the same person who'd left. Richard had become my quiet mentor. He didn't train me. I had Sarah for that. But he watched. He nodded when my form was good. He corrected small things when I asked. And his presence made others notice that maybe, just maybe, I deserved to be there. Jake noticed immediately when I returned to evening hours. Look who's back, he announced to his group. Thought you'd found a Planet Fitness somewhere? I loaded my barbell for deadlifts. 95 pounds. Not impressive by gym standards, but 6 weeks ago I couldn't lift the empty bar without my leg giving out. I completed my first set. 5 reps. Perfect form. Cute, Jake said, walking past. Let me know when you're lifting actual weight. I was setting up my second set when Richard appeared. He didn't say anything to Jake. He simply stood near me, loading his own barbell with 300 pounds. The dynamic shifted immediately. Richard wasn't just some old guy. Everyone in that gym knew his reputation. He'd coached Olympians. He'd been featured in fitness magazines. He had more credibility in his pinky finger than Jake had in his entire Instagram following. Emma, Richard said casually, your hip drive is much better this week. You've been working on that? Yeah, I replied, suddenly aware that people were listening. My PT gave me specific cues that really helped. Your PT knows what they're doing. This is textbook rehabilitation programming. Whoever designed this understands biomechanics. Jake's jaw tightened. He didn't like losing attention. Richard, you don't need to babysit every beginner in here. Some people just need to figure it out themselves. Richard turned slowly. His expression was neutral, but his voice was ice. Jake, in my 30 years of coaching, I learned something important. The mark of a good trainer isn't how strong their clients are. It's how they treat the weakest person in the room. By that measure, you're failing spectacularly. The gym went silent. No one had ever challenged Jake publicly. Jake's face flushed red. I get results. Ask any of my clients. You get results with people who would have succeeded anyway, Richard replied calmly. Real coaching is meeting people where they are and building them up, not tearing down the vulnerable to feed your ego. I stood frozen, my hands still on the barbell, watching this unfold. Jake looked at me with pure hatred. Is this your boyfriend now? You need some old man to fight your battles? Before Richard could respond, I spoke. My voice was steady, clear. No, I don't need anyone to fight my battles. But it's nice to train with people who understand what real strength looks like. And it's not you? The words hung in the air. Jake stared at me, clearly not expecting me to speak up. Then he laughed, bitter and sharp. Whatever. Enjoy your little support group. Call me in 6 months when you've actually made progress. He walked away, but his hands were clenched into fists. Richard looked at me and smiled. 6 months, he said? Yeah, let's make them count. Month 5. I'd lost 45 pounds. But more importantly, I'd gained something immeasurable. Strength. Real functional strength. Sarah had cleared me for advanced exercises. I was squatting, deadlifting respectable weight. My leg was fully healed. My body had transformed not into some Instagram model, but into something powerful and capable. Jake had been avoiding me since Richard's confrontation, but his resentment simmered. I'd see him staring from across the gym, whispering to his clients, filming vague motivational content that felt aimed at me. Then came the gym's annual fitness challenge, a competition open to all members, various events testing strength, endurance, and skill. Jake was competing. Of course he was. He won every year. Richard found me by the water fountain. You should enter. I'm not competitive level, I said. You're more ready than you think. And you know what would really bother Jake? You showing up. So I registered. The moment my name appeared on the board, Jake noticed. You're joking, he said, walking up to me. Emma, this is for serious athletes. The registration was open to all members, I replied calmly. Yeah, but there's technically allowed, and then there's actually competitive. You're going to embarrass yourself. Richard appeared beside me. She's competing. Deal with it. Jake's eyes narrowed. Fine. But when she fails, I don't want to hear any excuses about injuries or programs or whatever. You either have what it takes or you don't. Competition day. 8 events. I wasn't going to win. I knew that. But I wasn't here to win. I was here to finish. By event 7, I was exhausted but still going. Jake was in first place, showing off after each event. But something strange was happening. People were watching me, cheering for me, because everyone in that gym had seen where I started, and they were witnessing what transformation actually looked like. The final event, max deadlift. Jake went first, or 5 pounds, easy for him. The crowd applauded, my turn. I'd been building to this. Sarah and I had been testing my max in private. My personal best was 185 pounds. I loaded the bar. 185, the weight that represented everything I'd overcome. I approached the bar, gripped it, set my position exactly as Sarah had taught me, and I lifted. The bar rose smooth, locked out at the top. 3 white lights from the judges. The gym erupted, not because 185 was heavy by competition standards, but because 6 months ago I couldn't lift an empty bar. Jake didn't clap. He just stared. And that's when I knew. I'd already won. 1 week after the competition, everything changed. I was finishing my workout when the gym owner, Marcus, approached me. He looked uncomfortable. Emma, can we talk in my office? My stomach dropped. Was I in trouble? Had Jake complained about me? In his office, Marcus sat behind his desk and sighed heavily. I owe you an apology. A massive one. I blinked. What? I've been getting complaints about Jake for months, from multiple members. But I dismissed them. He's my nephew and he brings in clients, so I looked the other way. Marcus pulled out a folder. Then someone sent me this. He turned his computer screen toward me. It was a compilation video, Jake's Instagram stories from the past 6 months, all of them featuring me in the background, mocking captions. Jokes about my weight, my limp, my pathetic attempts at exercise. Someone made a TikTok exposing him, Marcus continued. It went viral yesterday. 3 million views. People are calling for the gym to be shut down. They're saying we allow harassment. I felt numb. My humiliation was now entertainment for millions. I'm firing him, Marcus said. Effective immediately. I should have done it months ago. I'm sorry, Emma, truly sorry. Where is he? I asked quietly. He's outside, clearing out his locker. Emma, you don't have to... But I was already walking out. Jake was in the hallway, stuffing towels and protein shakers into a gym bag. When he saw me, his expression twisted into something ugly. Happy now, he spat. You ruined my career. Over what, some jokes? Jesus, people are so sensitive. They weren't jokes, I said. My voice was steady, calm. You humiliated me when I was at my lowest. You mocked my injury. You made me feel like I didn't deserve to exist in that space. Oh, please. You're fine now. Look at you. You lost weight. I probably motivated you if we're being honest. The audacity made me laugh. Actually laugh. You think you motivated me? Jake, you were the obstacle. Every single day I had to work around your cruelty. You made everything harder. Whatever. You know what? You still don't look that great. You're still not... I don't care what you think about how I look, I interrupted. I stopped caring the day I realized your opinion meant nothing. You're a bully with a certification, and now everyone knows it. He grabbed his bag and pushed past me, but at the door he turned back. You think you're special? You think this changes anything? You're still just some girl who got lucky with a program. Richard appeared in the hallway. That program? Want to know who designed it? Jake rolled his eyes. Some physical therapist, so what? Dr. Sarah Chen, Richard said. She's one of the top rehabilitation specialists in the country. She's worked with Olympic athletes, professional sports teams, and she took Emma on personally because she saw potential. That's not luck, kid. That's recognition of real dedication. Jake's face paled slightly. And Emma's results? Richard continued. They're being featured in a medical journal about post-traumatic recovery. Her transformation is literally going to be used to teach other therapists. I stared at Richard. What? Sarah didn't tell me? She was waiting for the right time. She submitted your case study last month. It was accepted yesterday. Jake looked between us, his confidence crumbling. Then without another word, he left. I never saw him again. 3 weeks later, the gym had transformed. Marcus implemented new policies. Zero tolerance for harassment. Mandatory respect training for all staff. The toxic culture was being dismantled piece by piece. But the real change came from something unexpected. Sarah called me. Emma, I need you to come to the clinic. There's someone who wants to meet you. When I arrived, there was a woman in a business suit sitting in Sarah's office. Professional, mid-40s. She introduced herself as Linda Torres, a lawyer specializing in fitness industry regulations. Emma, I represent 3 other women who were harassed by Jake at various gyms. He has a pattern. Your viral video gave them courage to come forward. My chest tightened. There are others? 5 confirmed cases across 3 years. Different gyms? Same behavior. He targets vulnerable women, harasses them until they quit, then moves to the next gym when complaints pile up. Linda slid a document across the table. We're building a case, not criminal but civil, to establish a pattern of harassment and ensure he can never get certified as a trainer again. We'd like your testimony. I thought about that first day. His words, the laughter, the months of isolation. I'll do it. The hearing was 2 months later. All 5 women testified. The evidence was overwhelming. Jake's social media, witness statements, gym surveillance footage. Jake showed up with a lawyer who tried to claim it was all motivational coaching and tough love. But when I took the stand and calmly recounted every incident, every word, every moment of humiliation, the room went silent. The arbitrator's ruling was swift. Jake's personal training certification was permanently revoked. He was banned from working in any professional fitness capacity. He was ordered to pay damages to all 5 women and complete mandatory counseling. As we left the hearing, Jake was sitting on a bench outside, head in his hands. I walked past him without a word, but Linda stopped. You know what the saddest part is? If you'd just been a decent human being, you'd still have your career. You destroyed yourself. Outside, the other women and I stood in a circle, strangers bonded by shared trauma and shared victory. What are you doing now? One of them asked me. I'm actually starting a training program, I said, working with Sarah to help other people recovering from injuries. People who need gyms to be safe spaces. That's perfect, another woman said. You're taking what he tried to break and turning it into something beautiful. We exchanged numbers, promised to stay in touch. As I walked to my car, Richard texted, heard the news. Proud of you, kid, I smiled. 6 months ago, I'd been humiliated in a gym, ready to quit. Now, I was building something better. 6 months after the hearing, I was back at the same gym. But everything was different. Marcus had offered me a position, rehabilitation training specialist. Working alongside Richard, I helped people recovering from injuries, people struggling with confidence, people who'd been told they didn't belong. The gym had become a community, supportive, inclusive, strong. One Tuesday evening, I was working with a new client, a woman in her 50s recovering from knee surgery, when someone walked through the door. Jake. He looked different, thinner, tired. He wasn't wearing gym clothes, just jeans and a hoodie. He saw me immediately. Our eyes met across the gym floor. My client noticed my expression. "You okay?" "Yeah," I said. "I'm fine." Jake walked over slowly. His hands were in his pockets. His usual cockiness was gone. "Emma," he said quietly, "can we talk just for a minute?" I looked at Richard, who was watching from the squat rack. He gave me a slight nod. "Your choice." I told my client to take a water break, then walked with Jake to a corner of the gym. "I'm not here to cause problems," he said immediately. I needed to say something. I waited. Silent. "You were right. About everything. I was a bully. I was cruel. I told myself I was just being real, keeping it honest, but..." He ran a hand through his hair. "I was tearing people down to make myself feel bigger. And it destroyed my life." "Why are you telling me this?" "Because I've been in therapy, court-ordered, and I've been working through why I did what I did. My therapist asked me who I hurt the most, who I need to make amends with, and your face was the first one I saw. I felt a strange mixture of emotions, anger, satisfaction, and something unexpected, pity. I'm not asking for forgiveness," Jake continued. "I don't deserve it. I just wanted you to know that what you did, standing up, testifying, not backing down, it changed my life. I lost everything, but I needed to lose it. Because who I was, that person was poison." "What are you doing now?" I asked. "Working construction. My uncle won't talk to me. Most of my friends disappeared. But I'm sober now. In therapy twice a week, trying to figure out how to be a better person." We stood in silence for a moment. "I saw your Instagram," he said. "Your training program. The people you're helping. It's really good work." "Thank you." He nodded, then turned to leave, but I stopped him. "Jake," he looked back, "I hope you figure it out. I really do. Everyone deserves a chance to become better than they were." His eyes glistened. He nodded once, then walked out. My client returned. "Was that him? The guy from the video?" "Yeah. Are you okay?" I thought about it. 6 months ago, seeing him would have sent me into a spiral. But now, I'm more than okay, I said. I'm exactly where I'm supposed to be. That night, I posted a photo on Instagram. Me deadlifting 225 pounds, a weight I'd never imagined touching a year ago. The caption read, "A year ago, someone told me I didn't belong in a gym. Today, I teach in one. Your opinion of me is not my reality. Your cruelty is not my ceiling. And your limitations are not mine. To everyone rebuilding themselves, you belong everywhere you choose to show up. Keep going." The post got 3,000 likes in an hour, but my favorite comment was from Richard. "Proud doesn't even begin to cover it." I put my phone down and looked around the gym. People of all ages, all body types, all fitness levels, all working, all belonging. This was what Jake could never understand. Real strength isn't about how much you can lift. It's about how you rise after someone tries to break you. And I'd risen higher than anyone expected. Especially myself.